What's up, friends? Today we are here with Exway and Antonio at the Exway booth at Esk8con 2025. We have some exciting new announcements. Antonio, you want to lead us through what we've got on the table here?
Yeah, so in conclusion, we have a few very interesting products to announce this year because Exway had a big change with me coming to Exway. So firstly, I want to show you my baby. This is the Concept X, a very special concept board, which is supposed to be actually released in 2027 because it's the tech of the future. But you know, we thought it's so great of a board that we decided to release it this year, and we already ship it in September this year. And following on, we also want to give back to the community. You know, everyone loves the Exway Rexus remote with the screen and all the things you could do with the remote. So we made it basically open source, and we made everyone to be able to use it. So if you have a Vesc, if you have a Hovershoes ESC, you can just plug and play this one and you can just use it. You know, Stooge Boards is right over there. And then yesterday, we gave them this, they plug it in, after 3 minutes, they were racing with it.
That's awesome.
Because they got used to it. And also we have some great wheels over here, but I think today, for the beginning, we should focus on this board, this baby.
Yeah, so this board, it might look like a familiar shape to some of you. If you guys recall, in the past, there was the X1 Max that had this really unique thin deck. It had integrated flat cell batteries, and it was a really interesting lightweight commuter option. This is sort of a upgrade to the latest tech with 18S, a smart BMS, and some really cutting edge cells. You want to lead us through the specs?
Yes, absolutely. So this is actually made in cooperation with Molicel. So this cell is actually the P50B, which is, as many people told us, a total overkill for this board. So why did we use it? It's supposed to be a very special board. Even though it's a commuter board, it's a board for everyone, we still want to do it in an elite level. So this cell could actually have a theoretical input of up to 2 kilowatts. But with the current BMS we have on this prototype, it could still charge at 1.1 kilowatts, which has never happened before with any production board.
Not on a 1P, that's for sure.
Exactly. So in other words, instead of having a lot of power or a big battery that you have, you need a big board for it. So instead of that, why don't you just take the light board? It's enough for your everyday use, and in case you need the extra charge, you know, in 10 minutes, in 15 minutes, you already got a lot of range, you know, because in fact, from 0 to 100% with our special charger here, which is the 1050 watt charger, which comes with the board at $16.99, without the charger $14.99, you could charge up this board within 30 minutes, and 20 minutes, or actually, in my case, 15 minutes until 80%. So, yeah, so this is actually the board of the future. You know, it's a board for everyone because we're going into a new market. The business strategy of Exway is a bit changing, you know, because in the past we have the Flex, we have the Atlas, we have the whole product line quite complete. And people don't need more power on the boards anymore because they can't even handle the power, they'll fall down. And more range is just too heavy. Why don't you just get a Tesla instead? We have a Cybertruck over there that has the range. So, you know, maybe just take a step back, and then we're just making a perfect board with a perfect lighting system. And this board will also, by the way, be shipped with the transparent case. So this is a board without a grip tape yet, but with the grip tape, it's also going to be transparent. And then we also, which is also a highlight, is we have a built-in MagSafe board. So
is it
what you can
compatible with iPhone MagSafe?
Yes, absolutely. So you just put it up.
All right, we ran out of memory, but we're back. So we're talking about the MagSafe compatible charger on the front. This is a wireless charger, and it's compatible with the iPhone MagSafe standard, which is pretty cool. How many? It says 15 watts, right?
Exactly. So this one has a 15 watts output, and what you can do is you just put your phone on it, and then it will directly start charging. So what you can do is you can put your phone on it, and it will directly start charging, just like this. But this is not only for your phone. As you can see, it's not only a MagSafe port, there are also a lock under there. So the idea here is to have the board or to have this part just like a hot shoe of a camera. Yeah. So of course you can mount stuff on it, but there may be also electricity coming through because I used to have a problem with my camera where my microphone always ran out of battery. Yeah. So I love the hot shoe which could provide the power to the microphone. Yeah. So on here, you could provide the power to, for example, your strip lights or maybe the light soon to be released from Exway, and then maybe your GoPro, or maybe other stuff. Maybe you could, if you want to, not recommended, put your phone on it as a speedometer. Well, we don't have liability insurance for that, so so that's what we can do with the sport, you know.
Do you anticipate releasing like a universal like XT60 output from that? Something that
maybe
locks on and maybe has a USB port.
Well,
or
the
power
mount
cable?
definitely.
Yeah.
And then what we also have, which is most essential, is you could directly wirelessly charge your remote
That's
on the
awesome.
sport with this board. So, in other words, it's not night, but let me just show you this. If you're charging the sport, you know, usually you have to take out your phone to see the percentage, or you have to, you know, take the remote out, turn it on, wait for seconds. You know, already 5 seconds gone, even though it connects directly with the board. So on here, you could see literally each individual cell lighting up while charging, and when it's all lighting up, it will be 100%. Wow. So you will never have to see the screen anymore. You know, even though the Rexus has a great screen, but I'm half German. You know, we take safety very serious. Yeah. So getting distracted and looking into screens is not very good. We do not, you know, tell the users to do it like that. So if you just know the battery percentage just like that, it's so much better. So it's more intuitive too. Yeah. So it's just in your life. It's not something you have to see it or get it as an accessory, and everything. Yeah. It's just, you know, we ship the whole package. We do not split. So there's either the board only or the board with the charger. And the charger we also sell separately, which has an output.
Did make a video on. That thing is awesome. I use that to charge my race board, my mountain board, my Exway boards. It's very universal. I do think the price is quite high, but including it with this board, say you buy this board, you get the charger with it, you now have the ability to charge whatever you want. It's a really awesome capability.
Yes, well, I mean, the board, we price it at $14.99. Yeah. If you want to get this actually $500 charger with it, you only pay $16.99. Yeah. So, yeah, it's a great deal, yes. Yes.
So talking about the battery, you have a smart BMS in here, which is pretty rare for these Chinese origin boards. So why don't you talk us through the capabilities of the smart BMS?
So we all know what a BMS does. And at the very beginning, you know, because the X series was also the first board of Exway, we had a little problem with, you know, at the same form factor, we use other cells, and we always had this problem coming that people have their boards dead after maybe a winter. Yeah. So that's why we have to put in a smart BMS, which will automatically discharge the battery or charge up the battery during long term of times. What you can also do, for example, is leave the board on charge. After a week, it will actually automatically discharge it and then just keep it for storage. In the future, you could also set a long-term storage in the app, so you could just have the board, you know, it's just like a Ferrari, actually. Yeah. You have the board safe, the battery safe, and if you plug it off, the cells will be perfectly balanced. It will balance individual cells during every charge.
That's really cool. So, the first thing that comes to mind is that having that much capability in a BMS gives a lot of freedom to the user. So you mentioned the app. Is that where you'll have most of the settings and options to configure that? Will be pretty easy to use?
Yes.
Okay, that's good. And that'll be in the Exway app, right?
Sorry?
It'll be in the Exway app,
yes, it will be in the Exway app.
Series.
And then the best thing about this board is it's not only a board for a consumer, but this board can also go to 37 miles an hour. And with the cells you have here, you have 22 hub motors. It's 3 kilowatt hub motors. And then you also have 22 miles of range. If you really, you know, do the full power and do everything, you'll still have 18 miles of realistic range, thanks to the Molicel cells, you know. And the whole board is made out of carbon, by the way. Okay. It's just not the carbon look, but it's made out of carbon. And the whole board only weighs 17 pounds.
That's really light. Is it carbon with foam core, or is it just carbon layout?
Just carbon.
Okay, so it's there's no filler. It's just like a carbon resin layup all the way through the whole thing?
I don't think so. I have to confirm it with you, but yes.
Yeah. Okay, so going back to the ESC, this is of course a newer ESC. Is it similar to the one used in the Agent?
Not really. This is a very, very special ESC, specially made for the Concept X, because you know, it's also a very new generation of a hub motor. It's nothing like we had before, So this is also one of the more powerful hot motor. You know, the top speed might not be higher than the other boards, but we did a lot on the low end torque and how smooth it goes, you know, under maybe 5 miles an hour.
Yeah.
So when you were braking, you know, on stop or maybe on a ramp, then you could just actually hold the board.
Low speed braking is improved, you mean?
Yes.
That's good. I always find with hub motors that it does get pretty tough to stay in place on hills or stuff like that.
Yes.
So that's really great to hear.
But we improved a lot on this board.
That's great.
And last but not least, very, very important, this whole board with this power, it's only passively cooled. It runs on a very, very high voltage.
Yeah.
And with our very, very all-new CNC trucks.
That is sick. Those look really cool. So one other technical question on the ESC, how many battery amps and how many motor amps are you running? Do you know that?
No.
Okay.
It's not that I don't know about it. It's officially spoken. We want to do this board better. We just released this board yesterday, but we're starting shipping it September 20th. But
Yeah.
So in that period, a lot is going to happen. This board is only going to be better. So for example, what I can tell you already now, because it's already on our rendering on our website, is the lights, unfortunately you cannot see it here, is this long, okay? And the back lights, only these a little bit.
Yeah, so if you guys remember my Exway Flex 2 Pro video, it also had edge lighting like this, but it was all the way along the side.
Exactly.
These still have some great functionality as brake lights, I assume?
Yes, and this will be extended just like this, so it will be just like the front lights, so we have a perfect harmony on it.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's cool, cool. All right, so one other unique feature that you were talking about earlier was that there's a little pad back here that is compatible with the Rexus remote. It's basically an NFC communication where, since this board doesn't have a power button or anything like that, you just place it on there and you're able to pair. I assume you put the remote in pairing mode.
That's how they pair, but usually we just turn on the remote and the board will go on as just like any other Exway board.
Right, okay. So say, let's go through an example here. You've had the board sitting for a long time, because this has happened to me on some of my Exways. Most of the time it goes out of its, like into a sleep state where you have to press the power button again.
Exactly.
For this board, will you be able to see like the battery percent on the app without pressing a button or turning it on?
No. So this board runs on a very, very low power. So this board, this board will sleep. So whenever you want to turn on this board, either you have to do it with a remote, or you have to wake this. So there is a magnetic switch inside.
Oh,
of
there's
it.
a wake
So,
for it too.
yeah,
Okay.
So these are two magnet cords. That's not only for the charging, but also to wake the board up.
Oh,
So
okay.
if
That's
you do
really
it, the
good
switch
to
will
know.
go up, and then the board will activate everything again.
That's
so
super cool.
out of hibernation, we just put it that way.
Right, right. So with all this cutting edge tech, what is the planned release price for this? You said it was $16.99 with the charger,
Yes.
$14.99 without.
Exactly, and the deposit. So the pre-order starts today with only $300 refundable deposit, and at May 30th, you could the order will be locked. So either you want a refund, or this board goes into production.
Yeah.
And you'll get this earliest by September 20th.
Gotcha. That is super, super cool.
Thank you.
I am going to look around a little bit more, get some B-roll, and then we'll come back with a couple more questions.
Okay, perfect.
All right, so one last thing I want to cover here is the new Vesc receiver. Believe it or not, Exway is actually going to be having a Vesc receiver for their Rexus remote. And the Rexus remote is one of my favorite thumb wheel remotes ever. So seeing this is awesome. I'm actually going to be integrating this into the board that I do wheel range tests on. So I'm super hyped about this. You can use it in either UART mode or in PPM mode. There's a little switch on it. And this opens up the DIY user base to the reliability of the Hobbywing remotes and connectivity. If you guys know, all the new Hobbywing remotes have been really reliable when it comes to connectivity. And I'm super happy that you guys are opening up the DIY community.
Thank you. We're just trying to give back to the community, because all people from Exway, we also came from DIY, and a lot of people from Exway, like the founder, for example, Vic, he's also he loves to downhill too. So that's why the community is very, very important for us. So, being Exway is quite hard during all these years, but now since we have our success and we have people who believe in Exway, it's time also for us to get back to the community. starting with the bleeding edge technology of we've worked for all these years, the Rexus remote.
That is awesome.
It's the last remote you will need.
Yeah, I think Exway will be coming out with some more new products this year, which I'm super hyped for. We're not going to talk about them right now, but we'll be sure to cover them on the channel later this year.
Maybe a short board, maybe an AT board. But
Oh,
I don't know.
maybe. Sounds really cool. All right, well, thank you so much, Antonio.
Thank you.
Amazing to meet you, and I look forward to more Exway content.
And you have a good one. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a comment down below.
Thank you.